She never married him for love. She married him because the world was collapsing, and Elias Rowan was the only man powerful enough to save her life. Their marriage was supposed to be nothing more than a contract, a cold bargain to keep her breathing. But survival has a cruel sense of humor, because somewhere between silence and shared secrets, between danger and stolen glances, Aria did the one thing she swore she wouldn't do. She fell in love. Now, the man who rescued her is hiding truths that could shatter her. Her past has clawed its way back from the shadows. And the world beneath their feet is darker and more magnificent than she ever imagined. She married him to survive. But loving him might destroy everything. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more thrilling stories. When the town burned, when the banks collapsed, and when the storm tore down the last shelter she'd known, Aria learned that survival came with a price. That price wore a suit, spoke with quiet certainty, and had a reputation for never losing anything he decided to keep. Elias Rowan didn't smile when he proposed. He simply said, "Marry me and you won't lose your home. You won't lose your life as you know it." It wasn't romance, it was rescue, carefully packaged and signed with legal ink. She married him because there were no choices left. Their life together began like an agreement carved in ice. Separate bedrooms. Shared silence. Two strangers whose names appeared together only on documents and dinner reservations. He kept his world locked behind polished walls and cold courtesy. She kept her heart tucked behind determination and the stubborn refusal to be grateful. But something changed with the small, unnoticed moments. He remembered how she liked her tea, honey, not sugar. He installed lights along the garden path so she wouldn't stumble when she wandered outside at night with her thoughts. He stood outside in the rain trying to fix the broken roof so she wouldn't have to hear it leak. And he never said anything about it. "Why do you do these things?" she asked one evening, when thunder trembled above the house and candlelight softened the sharp edges of reality. He didn't meet her eyes. "Because you live here." But she heard what he didn't say. "Because you matter." Slowly, the house came alive with warmth that wasn't written in any contract. Their dinners turned to conversations. Conversations turned to laughter. His hand brushing hers no longer felt accidental. Her smile no longer felt borrowed. And one night, when fear clawed at her from an old nightmare, she found herself wrapped in his arms, steady and safe. He didn't kiss her. He just held her, like it meant everything. She realized then, terrifyingly, that somewhere in the quiet, she had fallen in love with the man she'd promised to never need. The next morning, she decided to tell him. Heart pounding, she stepped into his study and froze. He wasn't alone. A woman stood beside his desk, elegant, familiar with him. Too familiar. Elias's jaw was tense, his eyes darker than she'd ever seen them. When he looked up, the world shifted. "Aria," he said quietly, "we need to talk." The woman turned slowly, and Aria's breath caught. Because she knew that face. She knew what that woman could destroy. And she knew whatever came next could break everything she had only just realized she wanted. And then Elias said the words that shattered the fragile peace between them. But before he could finish, the study doors slammed shut from the hallway. Someone else had arrived. Someone who wasn't supposed to know she existed. "Continue." The doors thundered against the walls, a cold gust sweeping into the room as if the storm outside had forced its way in with them. Aria turned. A tall man stood framed in the doorway, rain dripping from his dark hair, eyes burning with something dangerously close to fury. Every trace of warmth drained from Elias's face. "Caleb," Elias said, voice tight. "You shouldn't be here." Caleb's gaze slid to Aria, slowly, disbelievingly, like he was staring at a ghost he'd never expected to see again. "You lied to me," Caleb breathed. "Both of you." The elegant woman beside Elias folded her arms, lips curving in the faintest hint of satisfaction. "I told you," she murmured to Elias, "secrets never stay buried." Aria's chest tightened. She hadn't seen Caleb in nearly 2 years. Not since the night she disappeared. Not since the night she'd been forced to walk away from everything, including him. Elias moved closer to her instinctively, like a shield. Caleb's jaw clenched at the gesture. "So this is where you ended up," Caleb said, voice raw. Married? To him? His eyes cut to Elias with open hostility. You promised she was gone. You said she was safe. But you didn't tell me this. Aria's thoughts spun. The room closed in. Caleb wasn't supposed to know she was alive. That had been the deal. That was supposed to be the one safeguard that protected them all. Elias's hands curled into fists. You don't understand what you're doing by coming here, he said. This isn't about you anymore. Not about me? Caleb snapped. She vanished. I searched for her. I buried who I was to protect her. And you tell me this isn't about me? The woman beside Elias finally spoke again, voice sharp as a knife. It isn't about you, she said. It's about what's coming. Aria's heart stuttered. Coming, she whispered. What do you mean? Silence stretched. Elias looked at her, truly looked at her, like the truth he'd been hiding had finally cornered him. Aria, he said softly, the reason I married you, it wasn't just to protect you. Caleb exhaled, a broken sound. The woman smiled as if she'd been waiting for this moment. And Aria felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Then why? She whispered. Elias opened his mouth, but the house lights flickered. Glass shattered somewhere down the hall. A distant scream ripped through the estate. They weren't alone anymore. Someone, or something, had found them. And whoever it was, they hadn't come to talk. The scream echoed through the corridors, jagged and terrified, slicing through the room like a blade. The chandeliers flickered violently, plunging everything into momentary darkness before dim lights stuttered back to life. Elias was already moving. Stay here, he ordered, voice steel. Aria grabbed his wrist. I'm not letting you walk into that alone. It's not just about me, he said, eyes softening for a heartbeat. It's about you. Caleb stepped forward, jaw set. I'm going with him. The elegant woman only sighed, as if chaos was an inconvenience. I warned you it wouldn't stay quiet much longer, she said. They've finally tracked her. Aria's blood ran cold. Tracked me? Before anyone could answer, heavy footsteps thundered down the hallway, followed by the unmistakable crash of something enormous being forced aside. Dust rained from the ceiling. The walls trembled. Someone was breaking in. Elias looked at the woman. Nora, take Aria downstairs. The panic vault. Nora nodded, surprisingly calm. But Caleb stepped in front of Aria, blocking Nora's path. She's not going anywhere with you, he snapped. You work for them. Or did you forget I know exactly who you are? Nora's smile faded. So do I, Elias said quietly. And she's the only reason Aria is still breathing. Another crash. The sound of splintering wood. Shouting from security down the hall. Time was running out. Stop! Aria shouted. Someone tell me what is happening. Elias hesitated. That alone scared her more than the noise outside. You're not here by accident, he said, voice low. You're alive because of a decision I made, and because there are powerful people who want you gone. The marriage? It protected you legally, financially, politically. Her pulse roared in her ears. Protected me from who? His answer was barely a whisper. Your family. Before she could process those two devastating words, the study doors buckled inward with a violent slam. Two armed men were hurled through the threshold, security guards, unconscious, hitting the floor with sickening thuds. A shadow filled the doorway. Unhurried. Familiar in a way that made Aria's lungs seize. Boots crossed the ruined threshold. A gloved hand brushed dust from a perfectly pressed jacket. And then he stepped into the light. The world stopped. His eyes, those same eyes she used to trust, locked onto her with chilling calm. Hello, little sister, he said softly. Ready to come home? Aria's heart slammed against her ribs like a trapped bird. Her little sister? She blinked, disbelief stealing her voice. I don't understand, she whispered. The man stepped closer, slow and deliberate, and the faintest smirk curved his lips. You don't remember me? You really have been hiding well. Elias moved in front of her, protective, but the man didn't flinch. He just tilted his head, eyes glinting with something dangerous. Aria, Elias said, voice strained. This is no time. Listen to me. Whoever he is, he's not here to negotiate. Caleb's fists clenched. I told you she belongs with me. No one. You think it's that simple? The man interrupted, voice like ice. You have no idea what's at stake. The elegant woman, Nora, finally intervened. She drew herself to full height, her usual calm replaced with sharp tension. He's not bluffing. You've been marked for more than just survival, Aria. And now, the countdown has started. A low hum filled the room, almost imperceptible at first, then growing louder, vibrating through the floor and walls. Aria's stomach twisted. What's happening? She asked, her voice trembling. The man, her brother, if she could even call him that, smiled. You're about to find out. But by the time you do, it may be too late to choose who you love and who you trust. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shuddered violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. A hidden panel in the corner of the study creaked open, revealing a dark staircase descending into unknown depths. Aria's pulse raced. What is that? Her brother's gaze softened just slightly. Your past. And your future. Both waiting for you, if you dare to take the first step. Elias took her hand instinctively. Caleb moved closer, eyes sharp. Nora's expression was unreadable. Aria swallowed hard, her fingers trembling around Elias's hand. She looked between the two men, the man who had saved her, the man who claimed to be her brother, and felt the terrifying weight of the choice pressing down on her. And then the floor shuddered again. This time, the sound of metal grinding against stone echoed from below, like something enormous was waking. Aria's breath caught. The last thing she heard before the darkness of the staircase swallowed the room was her brother's chilling whisper. Step down, if you want to survive. But once you do, nothing will ever be the same. And the shadows seemed to move on their own. Aria's legs felt like lead as she stared at the gaping staircase. The darkness below seemed to pulse, alive, as if waiting for her. Her heart hammered, not just with fear, but with the undeniable pull of curiosity. Elias's hand squeezed hers. I'm not letting you go alone. Caleb stepped forward, voice tight. Neither am I. But we need to be smart. Whoever, or whatever, is down there isn't ordinary. Aria swallowed hard, her mind racing. I have to know. I can't just stay here. Her brother's smirk returned, faint but infuriating. But that's exactly the courage you'll need. But remember this, down there, choices aren't simple. Love, trust, loyalty, none of it works the way you think. Elias took the first cautious step. Caleb followed. Aria's stomach twisted, but she forced herself to descend, the cold stone of the stairs sending shivers through her body. Nora lingered behind, her eyes scanning the room, voice low. I warned you, once you go, there's no turning back. Not for any of you. The air grew colder as they descended, damp and metallic, carrying the faint smell of something ancient and hidden. Aria could feel the pulse under her feet, an unnatural rhythm, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Suddenly, the staircase opened into a cavernous chamber. Shadows danced along the jagged walls, lit by an eerie green glow emanating from crystalline structures scattered around the floor. And in the center, a massive door, engraved with symbols she didn't recognize, stood like a sentinel. Her brother stepped forward. This is it. Everything you think you know about your life, your marriage, even your survival, leads to this. Elias placed a protective hand on her shoulder. No matter what's behind that door, we face it together. Caleb's gaze narrowed. Together? That's rich coming from someone who hid the truth from her for years. Aria's pulse pounded. She looked at both men, Elias, steady and loyal, the man who had saved her life, and Caleb, her blood, her past, the man whose presence ignited memories she couldn't suppress. Her brother's smile widened. Step forward, little sister. But remember, once you enter, there's no coming back. You'll learn the truth, but it may cost you everything you hold dear. Aria took a deep breath. One hand on Elias's, one glance at Caleb, and she stepped toward the massive door. As she touched the cold stone, the green crystals flared brightly, casting her shadow in 1,000 directions. A low, resonant hum filled the cavern, vibrating through her bones. The door began to move, slowly, agonizingly, revealing a darkness so deep it seemed to swallow all light. And then a voice, chilling and familiar, echoed from the abyss beyond. "Welcome home, Aria. We've been waiting for you." Her breath caught. The shadows shifted. And for the first time, Aria realized the danger wasn't. The air inside the chamber was thick, almost suffocating. The green light from the crystals cast long, twisted shadows that seemed to move on their own. Aria's hand tightened around Elias's, but her eyes couldn't leave the darkness ahead. Her brother stepped forward, hands raised slightly, as if inviting her into the unknown. "Inside, Aria, is everything you've been running from. And everything you've been kept from knowing." "Explain," Aria demanded, voice trembling despite her growing courage. Why was I hidden? Why did you let me vanish?" He smiled, a mix of sadness and amusement. "Because the world outside isn't safe. And because some truths are more dangerous than you can imagine." A low rumble shook the chamber. The massive door closed behind them with a deafening thud, cutting off the light from the staircase. Aria's stomach churned. From the shadows, shapes began to emerge. Figures cloaked in dark robes, faces hidden, moved silently toward them. The hum from the crystals intensified, filling the chamber with a vibration that made her teeth chatter. Elias stepped in front of her instinctively. "Aria, stay close. Don't let them surround us." Caleb's eyes were fixed on her brother, narrow and calculating. "Who are they? What do they want with her?" Her brother chuckled softly. "They've been waiting for you, Aria. You were never meant to live an ordinary life. And now, you must choose." Aria's heart skipped a beat. "Choose what?" "Who you trust," he said. "Who you love, and who you will follow into the world beyond this chamber. Because once you choose, there's no turning back. And your decision will change everything, not just your life, but theirs as well." Elias glanced at her, pain and determination in his eyes. "Aria, you're not alone. I'm with you. No matter what." Caleb's voice was low, almost a growl. "You don't owe me anything, but you're my family. I won't let them take you without a fight." Aria's gaze flicked between the two men, the man who saved her and the man who shared her blood. And for the first time, she realized the impossible truth. She cared for them both. Her brother stepped closer, the shadowed figures behind him bowing slightly, like worshippers awaiting a decree. "You have moments, Aria. Moments to decide. But choose wisely, because whoever you follow, whatever path you take, will lead you straight into danger. And some dangers are irreversible." The crystals flared brighter. The shadows of the robed figures stretched taller, leaning toward her, almost like they could devour her. A chill raced down her spine. And then the deepest, most commanding voice she had ever heard filled the chamber. "Aria Rowan, the time has come. Will you embrace your destiny, or will you cling to what you think you know?" Elias and Caleb both flinched, their hands tightening on hers. Her brother's smile was almost feral now, dangerous and magnetic all at once. Aria swallowed hard. Every instinct screamed to flee, but she knew this was the moment she could not run from. She took a shaky step forward, the shadows reaching closer, the hum of the crystals growing deafening. And as she did, the ground beneath her began to shift. A massive crack split the stone floor, sending a plume of green light shooting up from the depths. The robed figures recoiled, whispers echoing like a chant in a language she didn't understand. Elias grabbed her arm. "Aria, step back." Caleb's hand shot out too, but it was too late. The floor beneath them broke entirely, plunging her into darkness. For a heartbeat, everything went silent. And then, she landed on stone. Cold. What? Alien. The green glow of the crystals far above was just a memory. Aria's voice caught. "Where am I?" A low growl answered her. And from the shadows, red eyes opened, hundreds of them, all fixed on her. Somewhere in the distance, a voice whispered, "Welcome to your true world, Aria. Now choose, or be consumed." The darkness pressed against Aria like a living thing. The cavern around her pulsed with faint red light, revealing jagged stone walls and an endless stretch of shadow. And the eyes, those hundreds of glowing red eyes, blinked in unison, watching her. Then the creatures stepped forward. They weren't beasts. They were people, twisted by something ancient and powerful. Shadows clung to their skin like living armor, veins glowing with red light. Each movement was unnaturally smooth, like predators studying prey. Aria's breath trembled. What are you?" A voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. "They are what you were meant to become." Light erupted above. The cavern shook. Elias appeared first, battered but relentless, sliding down a crumbling slope. Caleb followed moments later, bleeding but determined. Nora and Aria's brother appeared last. Aria let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Her brother stepped past them all, unafraid of the creatures. "This world beneath ours isn't fantasy. It's a kingdom. And Aria, you were born its heir." Aria's head spun. No, I had a life. A home. I loved. Caleb snapped desperately. "Do you even know if what he gave you was real?" Elias flinched, but he didn't look away. Her brother's eyes softened. "Our parents made a deal with darkness to save our people. They promised their eldest child. But I couldn't let them take you. I sent you away. Hid you. Erased you. And when they came hunting..." He glanced at Elias. Elias' jaw tightened. "They came to kill her. I married her because it was the only way to legally claim guardianship. To shield her identity. To hide her under my protection. But somewhere along the way..." His voice broke for the first time. It stopped being protection. It became love. Aria's heart twisted. Caleb stepped forward, voice rough. "And I spent years searching for you because you're my family. I lost everything protecting your secret. I love you too, not like he does, but I love you enough to give you the truth, even if it hurts." The cavern roared suddenly. The creatures surged closer. A throne of black stone rose from the ground, glowing veins streaking through it. Power thrummed through the air. The voice returned. "Choose, Aria Rowan. Claim your throne, or doom us all." Her brother turned to her. "If you refuse, these people, our people, the world above won't be safe either. The darkness will crawl upward. But if you accept, you won't be the same Aria again. You'll be bound to this place. To destiny." Her chest shattered. She turned to Elias. "If I do this, I won't get to live with you. I won't get a normal life. I won't get us." He swallowed hard. Pain burned in his eyes. But he didn't beg. He didn't cling. He stepped close, cupping her face like she was the last piece of light he'd ever see. "You deserve to live. To be happy," he whispered. "But you also deserve to be who you truly are. And if that means losing you," his voice shook, "I'll still be proud of you. I'll still love you." Caleb turned away so she wouldn't see him wipe his eyes. Aria's throat tightened. The creatures circled. The throne glowed brighter. Her future waited. Her heart warred with fate. But in the end, she chose. Aria lifted her chin, tears burning her eyes, and stepped toward the throne. "I won't let anyone else die because of me," she said, voice shaking but fierce. "If this is who I am, then I'll carry it. Not for destiny. Not for power. For them. For everyone who still believes in hope." She sat. The throne exploded with light. Power surged through her, burning, tearing, reshaping. The creatures bowed. The cavern roared. The darkness obeyed her. When the light finally faded, Aria was no longer just human. She stood, stronger, radiant, crowned in living shadow. The kingdom had its queen. Her brother bowed deeply. Caleb dropped to one knee. Even Nora bent her head. Only Elias remained standing. Their eyes met across worlds. He stepped forward, close but somehow impossibly far. He brushed a trembling hand against her cheek, memorizing her. "I lost my wife," he whispered, "but the world gained its queen." She leaned into his touch for one last stolen moment. "I didn't fall in love by accident," she said softly. "I fell in love because of who you are. And I always will, even if I can't stay." Silence swallowed them. Then the cavern began to fade. The passage back to the human world opened. Elias stepped away. Caleb took one last lingering look before turning toward the exit. Her brother remained at her side. Aria watched Elias disappear into the light, taking her old life with him. And when the portal closed, the cavern fell silent. The queen stood alone. A tear slipped down her cheek, but she didn't break. She lifted her head, and with a single word, "Rise." The kingdom obeyed. The world above never knew how close it came to ending. But sometimes, when the wind howls and the earth trembles faintly beneath quiet cities, Elias looks toward the horizon and smiles sadly. Because somewhere deep below, a queen still loves him. And somewhere, fate isn't finished with them yet.